with Florentino.
Forum with Florentino.
Yes, sir. Oh shit. That was good. That was smooth. Sweet. Alright, cool. Yo, hope everyone's been well and safe. My name is Josh Miguel Florentino. Welcome to another episode of Forum with Florentino. Today's guest, man. You got big man Matt in the building. How you doing, bro?
I'm good.
It's
Thank
good to have you on, bro. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Calm. I was saying earlier how I was kind of nervous messaging you, and then I messaged you and you replied, and I'm like, okay, fucking earth, hectic. How are you, bro? You been good?
Yeah, I've been good, man. Been busy, but yeah, doing well, bro.
That's good. Love to hear it. Go a quick brief intro of yourself, what you do, what you've been doing.
Yeah. So I'm Matt. I am a creative. I work in the music industry. I work as a creative director, music video director, graphic designer, photographer. I'm the creative director for OneFour.
Yes,
work with a bunch of other artists sort of in the Sydney scene, and yeah, I've been doing that for like the last couple of years now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a crazy journey so far.
For sure, I'd imagine, bro. You've been enjoying it though? It's been a good time, good ride?
Yeah, man, it's been crazy. It's been like, yeah, many blessings, and you know, super grateful for all the opportunities that I've had thus far, and yeah, lots of lessons along the way and learning, and yeah.
So take us back to when it all started for you, you know, getting into your design, getting into your photos. How'd that all come about for you?
Yeah, sort of was like a bit late to the party with doing creative work. Sort of started kind of like dabbling in photography like towards the end of year 12. You know, just picked up one of my dad's old point and shoot cameras, and yeah, sort of fell in love with it from the jump. Was just, you know, like documenting what I saw around me, just things that me and my friends were doing.
Yeah, hard.
Parties that would go to, just, you know, kickbacks, whatever it was. And I was shooting all the time, and yeah, just really fell in love with the process of that. And yeah, was sort of like finished high school, and was like, you know, looking for the next step. Like, I didn't exactly know what I wanted to do. I figured I wanted to study at uni, but didn't have, you know, a course in mind.
Yeah, fair.
Got into like a teaching course.
You were doing a teaching course
I
initially?
didn't do it. I wasn't so sure on it, so I took a gap year and was like, I'll just sit on it and figure out if I wanted to do it. And yeah, so by the end of that year, obviously figured out that wasn't for me, and took another gap year.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, spoke to a mate who was doing a course at Western Sydney Uni, Bachelor of Design. And, you know, at that time I was just fucking around with friends, shooting music videos, all of that thing. And, yeah, he mentioned it to me, and sort of was like, man, I think you would like this. Like, if you're interested in going to uni, like, look into this course. And yeah, so I ran that up and really enjoyed it, man. Like, it was a really good experience. I think, like, obviously, you know, like, a lot of like fundamental learning during those stages of like my like career, I suppose. And yeah, sort of just never looked back. Just kept doing more and more, and you know, was surrounded by like a lot of creative work. Like a bunch of friends of mine were doing music, and one friend of mine, John Bouquet, was running a clothing label, Numb, at the time. And you know, that being around that and being in that space, like, you know, I got to really like hone in on my craft and, you know, do the things that I love doing, and, you know, also be inspired by, you know, the people around me. And so that was like a very like, you know, like a really important time for me just to sort of like freely create and freely express myself, and, you know, had plenty of opportunities to do that, and was just hungry enough and, you know, motivated enough to get up and go do that and, you know, learn myself. And so, yeah, sort of started there and then finished uni, and yeah, kind of got into the industry, worked at a creative industry, which I fucking hated.
Why'd you hate it?
Shout out to present company. I don't know, man. It just wasn't what I thought. You know, I think like, I think my expectations of like getting into an agency and things like that was that I would, you know, be able to create every day and, you know, be fulfilled in that way. But I think slowly, quite quickly, I learnt that, you know, you kind of just get told what to do, and you get a couple of briefs on your desk in the morning that, you know, just to do this, do that, do this, and you just do it. And yeah, I kind of, just didn't really connect with that. So, you know, was doing freelance work on the side always, and you know, still working with the same group of friends, and slowly building a portfolio and working with other artists and things like that. And yeah, eventually got connected with OneFour, and
insane.
Yeah, the rest is history so far.
You've been creative directing with them for how long now?
Sort of like full time for like the last year and a bit. Was sort of doing bits and pieces with them prior to that.
Yeah, sure. And how did it all come about for you guys? Like, do you guys link up? Do you guys know each other initially, or like, how did it all come about?
My Uncle Rick messaged me on Instagram just on a whim, and we started to chat, and kept in contact for 6 months, and we're just chatting here and there. And one night I was on the way home from my agency job.
Yeah.
And he just messaged me out of the blue and was like, "Yo, Matt, like, what are you up to? Like, are you free to do something for us?" And I was like fucking on the train home. Like,
that's crazy.
Dead end job. Like, I was tired as fuck. And he's like, "We need an artwork done in like 2 days." He's like, "Can you do it?" I was like, "Bro, of course I can do it." Like,
okay.
So I went, like, chatted to him about the idea, whatever. It was a Welcome to Prison cover.
Oh, okay, yeah. So fairly recent, like 2020, 2019?
Something 2020, like that, 2019, I think, yeah. And stayed up the whole night.
Yeah. Well worth but. So
did that, and then sort of since then, just kind of like...
That's crazy.
Been working with them.
Yeah, and how's it like been working with them?
A lovely group of guys, like really respectful and, like extremely creative and driven as well. It's a really like inspiring environment to be around, and like I think that it's so clear that like they're incredibly talented and gifted people.
Most definitely.
And so it's certainly like, I mean, it's got its challenges, like as does any sort of creative work in this field. It's not easy, but I think it's certainly like a very inspiring and driving environment to be in. I think like given many things, but I think that I'm blessed, bro.
For sure, I'd imagine. Well, what's been your favorite work you've done with them?
Ah, shit. I don't know, man.
You don't have to name it to one. You can name a couple if you'd like, but...
Yeah, I mean, there's been so many and so many like special ones for different reasons, but I think that...
Off top,
if I had to answer right now, I would say How We Living was probably one of like my favorite ones to work on. I think like the reason being that it was the first clip of theirs that I directed solo.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
Prior to that, I was working with a friend of ours, Gabriel, and we were co-directing a lot of the videos, and I was art directing for some of the ones previous to that. But How We Living was the first one that I got to fully direct myself, and I think it's like particularly special one, just given like the kind of nature of the song as well. Like it was a moment where like they stopped to kind of like reflect on their past and to kind of like really just like kind of celebrate where they were at, where they had come from, but where they're at, and I think that's like a really hard thing to do, but a really important thing to do. And I think that it was a really special one to be a part of. I just like, I think for me was like, important that obviously like execute their vision for what they saw was right for the song. But I think it was like, like really special in the fact that like we just got to like, bring their whole crew together, like everyone that they've come up with, like all their boys and shit, and just like make a music video like to celebrate that. Like they've been through so much.
Most definitely, man. It's hard as fuck. I remember watching the video and I saw the projections like Dawson Moore. Is that your idea? I was like, that was hard as fuck.
Yeah.
Shout out Dawson Moore. Shout out Mount Druitt Station.
Yeah, we tried to shoot a projected on Mount Druitt train station, but securities weren't having it.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
I thought Mount Druitt would kick back. They'd be chill about it. How about yourself? Like, do you have any goals and ambitions individually, like for you?
Yeah, for sure. I think that, I mean, this is kind of tricky for me. I think that like a lot, like earlier on in my like, kind of, like when I first was stepping out into like the creative scene, I think I, set a lot of like hard goals and, hard sort of like deadlines and things like that for myself. And I think like that motivated me for a long time. But I think the more that sort of I was able to, like kind of just give it all up and just kind of like live in the moment and, kind of just go with the flow. Like I found that, a lot of the time things would just naturally come to me, and,
for sure.
I would find myself in positions that, shocked me. I would never have thought I would, be, doing this or doing that. And so, it's kind of one of those ones where I've sort of learned to like not be too goal orientated.
Just go with the flow, I guess.
I think, go with the flow. I think, I have obviously like highly ambitious person and, always want to be learning and growing and executing to a higher level. But I think that like that's necessarily like what drives me. I don't necessarily have like, I want to do X or Y or Z. I just kind of like want to keep learning and growing and getting better at what I do. And I
feel like we're forever learning. So yeah, I agree with that. What was the time for you when you realized like, damn, I'm doing what I'm doing, and I feel like you're killing it. You know what I mean? When was that time?
Yeah, man, I think probably more recently, to be honest, like maybe in like the last 6 months. I think like, sort of like following like leaving the agency and going out like full time.
How long were you at the agency for?
Year and a bit, like year and a half. And I mean, like, it's like, I got to say, like that was like a really like, I learned so much being there, and like I think that like that experience like really set me up to like go out on my own and like, to be able to function as a business. It's essentially what I'm running right now as a business.
For sure. Businessman and that.
But I think like that feeling probably came like maybe like 6 months ago. I think like, like experiencing the lockdowns and experiencing, like everything that like we all experienced. Obviously the creative industries was like pretty challenged by those times. And I think that, like to have, for myself, blessed to have like made it through that and, still be able to do what I'm doing. It didn't, like it's crazy. Like it didn't really have like much of an impact on me. I was still busy. I was still working like Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 or whatever it is. Like, I was busy during those times, and like, I think like, coming out of that and coming to the other side of that, I think that was like a real moment of like enlightenment for me, where I was like, fuck, like I'm really doing this. Like if I can like get through that, like, bro, like I'm solidified. Like,
most definitely.
I'm like there. So
you're already solidified already, so don't doubt that. Like you're doing your thing. I think you're very well respected. Everyone in this room can agree. So no stress on that, bro. You're good.
Thank you, and thank you to everyone in the room.
Shout out to everyone in the room right now.
I need some crowd response here.
Asking for the crowd response.
Nah. Let's do this. Yeah. All right.
Any creatives that you want to shout out? Any artists that you want to shout out? Worked with a lot of people, so I'd imagine there'd be plenty.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've, again, like, been so blessed to work with, like, so many people. Like, the list is, like, extensive. Like, I'd be here all day shouting out people that, I fuck with. But I think, like, man, like, like, everyone, of course, in this room, like, has had a big impact on not just me, but, like, the industry as a whole. For sure. And, man, I think I just want to shout out to, like, any Western Sydney creatives, like, who I'm doing. So, all aboard. Like, man, like, that's one of the underlying forces for me, and that's what keeps me pushing, like, putting on for, like, Western Sydney, the Western Sydney creative community. I think, like, like, as someone who grew up in the West, like, I know, like, the talent here and the level of like, high quality work that is yet to be produced, but has also already been produced. And I think that, man, if I think that as a community, we've faced so much like hardship and like neglect from the rest of the creative industry. And I think like, if you're from Western Sydney and you're doing your thing, like, that's a big fucking achievement. Like, and you're still doing it, and you're out there like hustling. Like, man, I want to shout out all them motherfuckers.
Yeah, shout out Western, man, for real. Shout out Western. Shout out Western. Real shit, man. Fuck. Whereabouts from Western Sydney are you? If you want to tap into that.
So I was born and raised in Tregear. I wasn't born in Tregear. I was born in Blacktown Hospital. But,
tough, yeah. I bottom Westmead, yeah.
Lived in Tregear for like the first like 10 years of my life, and then moved to Hebersham. And then Hebbo's been my home since. Recently moved out towards the city. But yeah.
Home's always home.
That's right.
Home and away, no pun intended. Yeah, so what bus did you take? Going up, what bus did you take?
754.
754?
Yes, sir.
Blacktown, Mountie?
That's right. Right.
So I think all of like Western Sydney, Blacktown was like 75 something.
Yeah, I think so. I
was on 756, train station to, like, I think Blacktown, Rudy Hill, bus from Rudy Hill. the vibe.
Yeah, I did that 754 loop.
Big thank you for coming on. I really appreciate your time, man. Like, this means a lot to have you on Forum. But yeah, big love always.
Of course, thank you for having me.
No stress, man. Easy. Actually, before you go, do you have any advice for any creatives, any young creatives?
Oh shit, I don't know.
Western Sydney product?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think like, I don't know, my biggest piece of advice is corny as fuck, but it's like very, very true. It's just to like believe in yourself, just to like, you know, stick to what you want to do and don't give up. I think like everything works out in the end. And if you're, you know, if your motivations are right, and you know your drive is there, like you can fucking achieve anything. Like,
real shit.
So go do that.
There you go, Matt.2770. Go do that. Before we leave,
oh yeah,
go hard, bro.
Yes, sir.
Go hard. Tough.
That shit is delicious.
You think it's delicious? Jiggy with the shivvy, but yeah.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks so much for coming on, bro. Much love always.
Thank you.